Welcome back, guys and girls. Today we're going to be replacing U-joints, and these are typical automotive U-joints. This is off of a piece of heavy equipment, but this is actually the same U-joint that goes in a lot of Chevy 3/4 ton trucks, 70s and 80s. And even though there's different styles of retainers and clips and ways that they keep these things put together, the process is basically the same with just a few minor variations. So on this U-joint, we have what's called outside clips or outside retainers. This is what they look like. You squeeze them right here with a pair of pliers. They fit into a groove. That's what holds your bearing cups in your U-joint into the yoke. You have another kind, it's called inside clips. They go in here and they look like a C, and they actually keep it, instead of being on the outside and keeping it from coming out, they're on the inside, keep it from coming out. There's a third kind that is factory, and what they do, there's a groove machined inside here and a groove machined into your bearing cup. And when they put them together, there's a hole right here. They inject plastic in there and then it hardens. And if you have that kind, in other words, if you don't see a clip and you don't see a clip, then it's probably a factory joint. And they are, unless you have a really good hydraulic press, they're a pain in the butt to remove unless you know the secret. The secret is you take a torch and you heat right around here, and you just heat and heat and heat until you see the plastic just start oozing out of that hole, and you just keep heating it up until that plastic stops oozing. And you'd have to do both sides. Then once you do that, that breaks all that plastic free out of there. It basically just boils it out, and you can press them apart. But this, like I said, this is outside. These are pretty easy to do. Here's the tools you need. Wire brush if you want it to clean everything up. Pair of pliers, usually needle nose. You might need a small screwdriver. You need one socket that is smaller just slightly than the cap, but also one that pushes on this ridge. You don't want to push in the center because you can actually collapse these and ruin them. So you want one that's just a little smaller than the bore of your yoke so that you can press on that. You need one more that is larger and that is deep enough that you can put the entire cap down inside of it. So those are the tools you need if you're going to use a vise. Some kind of tape so that you can tape it all together, like on this end, to keep them together while you're dragging them around and getting underneath the vehicle and whatever, hauling it, because you don't want them coming apart, getting dirty, losing the little needle bearings in there. You don't want to. It's just less hassle. Just tape the thing up, be done with it. So like I said, these are pretty easy. Here's how you remove it. Squeeze. Okay, now this side moved, this side is stuck. So what you do, take something, anything, tap on that side. There you go, that one's out. I already removed the other side just to speed up the video. Okay, now you open the vise, and it doesn't hurt to have a second set of helping hands to do this. You can do it by yourself, but it's easier if you have two people. So you're going to put one socket over. It needs to rest on that machined surface too. It can't be so big that it sits crooked. So you put one over, you're going to put the other one on the other side, and you're going to put it in the vise and squeeze it. That's going to push the cap out this way. You'll take that cap out, you're going to reverse everything, and you're going to push on the trunnion and push it out the other way. Once you do that, you can get this U-joint out. Then you install the other one. So let's see if I can do this by myself. A little bit wider, a little bit wider. Okay. Put that in there, and we still need to go even wider. Hopefully this vise will do it. Oh yeah. So hold that in place, put that in place. Here's where the second pair of hands really would be helpful. Let's put the smaller one in first, since it'll sit in the recess. Put that one in, close it just slightly. And of course the neighbor's dog hates my guts, so she's gonna make an appearance in our video. There we go. Got it all good and centered. Now we're just gonna start pressing. And this takes quite a bit of force. So I'm gonna lay this down, and I'm gonna grab one more thing I forgot to get, and that is a cheater pipe. There she went. And she starts moving now. You can see it moving to the side right there. If you're lucky, sometimes you can get them far enough that you can get them completely out. I don't think it's going to be the case on this one though. So now we pull everything out. And we need to go, nope, there it is. Okay. Now there's all your needle bearings. We don't care about them on this one because this one's junk. But you do not want to lose those on your new one. Or if you're removing one and you're going to put it back in, you got to be real careful with those. If you do have to try to keep them in, grease, Vaseline, something like that will help hold them in place. Okay, now you would think, there we go, you can get that one out. So this is one of the easy ones. You can get it out. Some of them you have to literally push it back the other direction. This one wasn't too bad. Now we're going to clean this up. Make sure, I don't know if you can see that. There's your groove that your snap ring goes in. You want to make sure those are cleaned out. And that's one of the things the little screwdriver is for. And it is also to make sure that your new snap rings actually go into place. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. Real fast. Get some of that old grease and crud out of there. Okay. Now I'm going to clean out my snap ring groove. Make sure all of that crud is out of there. And it's important that you do that because dirt and grease and everything pack in there in the area where this is. And so unless you put that snap ring back in the exact same position, it won't seat out all the way. And you don't want one of these dudes coming loose, especially on a long drive shaft on the front yoke that goes in your transmission. Because imagine going down the road and you drop a drive shaft. If you're lucky, all it will do is rip the yoke off of the rear axle. If you're not lucky, you can flip your vehicle or do damage to somebody else's vehicle. Around here, the rule is if your drive shaft or something falls out and it is dead in the road, it's road debris, road hazard. If it's still rolling or moving when the other vehicle hits it, it's your fault. And you get to pay for their damage to their vehicles. So, okay. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna carefully take this one apart, make sure none of the needles stick to the trunnion. Okay, we're gonna set that aside. We're gonna put this one in. Let's see if we can get it up in there. And this one is not gonna allow us to do it because the casting on this U-joint's bigger. It's not gonna allow us to do it. So we're gonna take that one loose too, but we're not gonna take it out yet. So we're gonna start this one in the hole. And on this one, this time we don't need any extra tools. We're just gonna start this one in a little bit, just slightly. Just like that. I just wobbled it a little bit to get it to start. Okay, we're gonna pull this other one off. Okay, we're gonna work this through this side. Slide it over into there, and it needs to go easily. If it doesn't go easily, stop what you're doing, pull it back out. One of your needles probably moved and is sitting in there angled. If you start pressing then, you'll snap your needle in half. Or you can get a needle laid down and it'll be down here in the bottom of the cup. You can't get it all together, and if you're lucky enough to get it together, it sits there and it grinds and grinds and grinds, and it ruins it. Okay, so right here is also one of the spots where that can happen. You want to slide it back just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to put it in the vise, no tools. We're gonna get it going as far as we can this way. Okay, that one went pretty easy. The bore is probably worn quite a bit. Okay, if it's not loose when you're pressing this, stop. Okay, that's as far as it's gonna go without tools. So now we're gonna put this back in. Actually, that one's already in far enough. That bore must be a little loose on this. Okay, so what we're gonna do, lay this down, find our pliers, we're gonna squeeze it, and keep an eye on these, like keep your finger on these, because if they come loose, they fly. Okay. Okay, this is where your screwdriver comes in handy. Get it to come back up into place. Okay, now I like to go around and squeeze outward to make sure that is seated in the groove. Okay, now we're gonna push this side with the socket that fits down in there. So we're going to place one lip right up against the jaws of the vise. Just a hair more. Okay. You want to make sure it's all centered on the cap. Okay. Don't go extreme crazy on it, just go until it snugs up and it stops. Okay, looks like we've got it in there good. We're gonna go with the second snap ring. One side down in there. Okay, that one clicked. This one's still not in. You can see there's a gap right there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I can see it. So it's not in all the way. It's not in far enough. We're going to go just a little bit more, see if we can get her to move just a little bit more. Try her again. There she went. It's all seeded out, looks like. There she went. It's completely seeded. And you can tell, if you look at the thickness here, the thickness of the metal in the snap ring, and you look at how much of the snap ring is visible, you can tell that it is seeded. You're gonna get 4 snap rings, 4 retainers in a kit. On this end, it's held in with U-clamps, U-bolts. So you'll have 2 extra. Hang on to those, because sometimes these things will get bent up and they won't stay locked because they're actually bent out. Or if you were to accidentally press too hard and push the other side out, keep those extra ones. So guys, that's how you do it. Make sure, like I said, wrap this sucker with some tape, because you do not want to lose. You don't want to lose your caps. You don't want to lose your needles. 3 or 4 good wraps is sufficient to keep it on there. Now it's good to throw in your trunk, the back of the truck, whatever. Thanks for watching, guys.